Now on YouTube, it's time for some alternative commentary action with the Commenttary Hub.
There's headed by Marina, and it's 2-1 to Arsenal.
Look at that pass! Goal for Manchester City!
Takes this corner, whips it in, it's headed and it's a goal, and it's that man, Gabriel.
Liverpool have equalised. Lovely improvisational touch from Curtis Jones.
Oh, what a goal! Wow, take it out! Welcome along to the Commenttary Hub's coverage of Aston Villa versus Burnley this afternoon. I'm your match commentator Russ Vernon here at Villa Park ahead of kick-off, and this has been a very good game. Should be a very good game this afternoon. We're now about to get off with the team news right now ahead of kick-off, and we'll start with Aston Villa fairly quickly. It's Emi Martinez in goal, Luca Dean, Pau Torres, Ezri Konsa and Manny Cash across the back, Kamara and Bugard in front of the back four, Marlon, Rogers and McGinn behind Ollie Watkins. As for Burnley then, it is Dubravka in goal, Walker, Twanzebe, Laurent, Esteve and Arman across the back, Joanna, Cullen, Valentino Luis, Anthony in midfield with Foster in attack. Well, the game is about to get underway very, very shortly. The referees Andrew Kitchen, assisted by Dan Cook and Craig Taylor. The fourth official is Tony Harrington. With the VAR is Michael Oliver, and James Bell is the assistant VAR match official this afternoon. With the Burnley tip players just in the huddle, spoken to by captain Josh Cullen this afternoon. We'll run you through the two benches in just a moment or two's time as the game is about to get underway in the game at Villa Park. It'll be Burnley to kick us off, attacking the goal away to my left hand side in this first half here at Villa Park. And Burnley have now got this game off and underway, and the ball is all the way back there to the Burnley goalkeeper Dubravka, who sends this ball long downfield. It's infield now to the Villa for Matty Cash on this near side, the right, and it's now back here to the number 26 for Aston Villa, who completing to include the number 26 is Bugard, who is to Konsa, now it's to our foresight, and Torres down the line. He goes here to Ollie Watkins, who's up against the number 6 Twanzebe there. He does well against Twanzebe. He pulls down Josh Cullen, and Burnley have a free kick inside the opening 30 seconds or so of this Premier League encounter here at Villa Park this afternoon. Just to let's run you through the two benches then. It's for Villa is Lindelof, Barkley, Elliott, Buendia, Namora, Aloba, Matson, Onana, Gassand and Bizot as the free kick from Burnley goes out of play for a throw-in to the Villans. On the bench for Burnley is Worrell, Lawson, Ugachukwu, Edwards, Humphries, Weiss, Fleming, Broyer and Medjbury. And Medjbury, the final sub there for Scott Parker's side. As if Burnley have got the ball on this left hand side, advancing down the line. He goes into Lau Foster, who turns in his own side through to the number 17, Joanna, who puts the ball across the face of the goal looking for Kyle Walker. Well, the flag goes off for offside against the Burnley midfielder there. Joanna, who just went a fraction early. You can see that I think he was against Lau Foster actually, was just offside, and then it was just offside as well. So it could be either getting one of them two there, and the ball is put out. There, it's out for the free kick for Villa, which have taken quicker through. Emi Martinez was back on the side today after pulling out through injury and recovered from injury from their midweek Europa League game. For the Villans under Unai Emery, who some fans are saying is under pressure and needs to get a result against Burnley this afternoon to potentially save his job. Some reports are saying up and down the country that I've been reading. He's Manny Cash for Villa, drops it back there to Konsa. Ezri Konsa turns away from Lau Foster. Good bit of players. Bugard drops back to help out. Here's Cash. Back he goes to Konza, who can clear downfield the England international up towards the England international Ollie Watkins. And before Marlon and Watkins can get there, he's knocked back by Esteve to Martin Dubravka inside the Burnley goal. Burnley have started off well here against Villa, but as I say that, Marlon almost robbed Josh Cullen of the ball there. Esteve just sends this ball up towards Lau Foster, and the offside flag is up against the Burnley number 9. And we've almost played 3 minutes here, and it remains 0-0 in the Premier. This afternoon as part of a double header here on the Commenttary Hub, the Brace on Sunday Premier League Live, as Aston Villa take on Burnley. The offside flag is up there against Luca Dean over on that far side then, and it remains 0-0 between the two sides. Should be a good game, this. And it remains 0-0. Harmon has been called up for the Netherlands squad as well, which is good to see from a Burnley fan's perspective. And it remains 0-0 here, as Harmon has done well at left back for Burnley this season, and he's looked quite confident of the left back position, which was really stable last season as they finished second behind Leeds United in the Championship. Both got 100 points, did Scott Parker and Daniel Farker's men. He's done Jan Marlon though for Villa, and he's lost possessions. Foster's just offside, so lets the ball run through, and then Martinez can have the ball back for Aston Villa. Remains Aston Villa 0, Burnley 0 in the Premier League, and he's across here now to Konza into Bugard, and Bugard has possession now, and he turns away from his man and he goes down, and his challenge there is a free kick on Bugard, fouled by Jadon Anthony, who to have climbed over the top of the Villa defensive midfielder. We're up towards 5 minutes gone here at Villa Park. Is Aston Villa 0, Burnley 0, as it's across there to Pau Torres from Ezri Konza, who can get this ball forward. Ollie Watkins holds up and goes down and wins a free kick. Challenge there by Axel Twanzebe. And Burnley players didn't get out of the way. And Andrew Kitchen, the first Premier League referee in this for him, first Premier League game as a referee for Andrew Kitchen, and normally referees in the EFL. And he's done well in the EFL as Andrew Kitchen in the games he's refereed in. This well-deserved call up to the Premier League for this game between Aston Villa and Burnley. 5.5 minutes gone here. Is 0-0 as Dubravka has possession at the back into Cullen there, who turns away. Now here's Esteve back into Josh Laurent, and now Valentino Luis across there to Twanzebe into Cullen, back to Valentino Luis into now, and there is Esteve. Esteve will look forward, it goes back to Valentino again, across there to Josh Laurent, who can just keep the ball in play there, and he goes here now to Kyle Walker, who used to be in the England squad, not being included in any of, has been included in some of the squads under Thomas Tuchel as well as Kyle Walker, but I don't think he's featured under Thomas Tuchel yet for the Three Lions. He's Jadon Anthony's had the penalty area for Burnley, loses out there to Manny Cash, who can, and John McGinn was there too. There's Bugard back to Cash. Bugard again. Cash once more. Joanna there, and Cash turns well, brilliantly. Not once but twice, and plays a ball across his own box, and Torres just checks it back into the grateful arms there of Emi Martinez, and it remains Aston Villa 0, Burnley 0 in the Premier League today. Ball is up forward. There's rid of Ollie Watkins. Esteve is there too. Walker can't get there, and he's out of play for a throw-in to the Villans, which Rugadin takes quickly to Boubacar Kamara into Bugard, who can just take a touch now and across this near side, and Manny Cash back into regard into Kamara. Back he goes there to Konza. Kamara again. Pushed back by Josh Cullen. And it was definitely pushing the back there by Josh Cullen. I think it had gone down and probably would have got a free kick, but it was 2 instead was Boubacar Kamara. And it remains 0-0 between Aston Villa and Burnley in the Premier League, and it's now with Matty Cash. Cash takes a touch inside and back to Emi Martinez, and Martinez is now sending this ball long downfield, looking for the run of Ollie Watkins, who's onside up against Axel Twanzebe. Back to Luke Dean now for Aston Villa, who can get the ball in towards Ollie Watkins again. Inside the penalty, under the challenge of Kyle Walker, and the ball goes behind there. And I believe he's going behind for a corner kick to Aston Villa there. Let's just double check. Yes, did go out for a corner. Andrew Kitchen did signal for the corner. And Corelli did as well. No, the final touch came off Burnley's Kyle Walker there. Formerly of Manchester City, spent time last season out on loan at AC Milan, did Kyle Walker, before making the switch to Turf Moor this summer. And look at him, we'll take this corner on the far side, which is the Villa left. And we're watching as the ball was in towards the... There's a flicked across by Daniel Marlon. No one got a final touch there, and he goes out of play for a throw into Burnley. And Burnley lived dangerously there as someone got a touch in there. Oh, Watkins almost was in there, and Watkins got a touch. That had been 1-0 to Aston Villa, and this is brilliant play. You see here from Daniel Marlon, just gets the slides of touches across there, and just out of the reach of Ollie Watkins, the ball went, and remains 0-0 between Aston Villa and Burnley. And here comes Josh Loren now for Burnley, up and over halfway, turns back to Kyle Walker, into Josh Cullen, and now Florentino Luis, into Truena out wide there to Josh Loren, back now to Kyle Walker. Walker will send the ball long towards his far side, and Armin inside the penalty. Armin, what a save! The match is actually cleared off the line again, and Villa do get the respite they needed. The offside flag was up against Armin there. He come a bit late there for Quincy, up against Quincy Armin for the flag, and he was definitely offside. Armin there may actually be tired. It did look offside to me. And a fantastic save from Emi Martinez, and then cleared off the line by Ezri Konza. He brought it down well to Quincy Armin. Inside the penalty area went, and a fantastic save. Spread himself like an eagle did Emi Martinez to keep out Burnley there. And 10.5 minutes gone here, it's still Aston Villa 0, Burnley 0. We've had a comment in the comment section as well early on from Joe Smoke, who says Villa 0, Burnley 10, with a laughing face after it. Then we can keep you up to date with the game today, as we are in week number 7 of the Premier League season, as Aston Villa take on Burnley. 0-0 is the scoreline, and here comes Boubacar Kamara. Good running from Mari. The ball is now with Armin again, who can turn away. There's a few other games taking place in the Premier League this afternoon. We'll keep you updated with those scores as and when goals go in. The scores will be across the bottom of your screen as well, so you can take a look at the scores across the bottom of your screen from today's matches. There's some few games kicking off at 2 o'clock, and then there's some games, one game kicking off later, which we'll have for you here as well on the commentary. But here's Daniel Marlon out wide to Luca Dini inside the penalty. Shot comes in, deflected wide, and actually Morgan Rogers with the deflected effort wide, and it remains Aston Villa 0, Burnley 0. Also 0-0 elsewhere between Everton and Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, and Wolves against Brighton. The R4 kick-off featuring here on the commentary hub as part of the brace on Sunday is Brentford against Manchester City. And in the Championship earlier today, Ipswich Town beat Norwich City by 3-1. We'll keep you updated with the Premier League action this afternoon, though, and go through all the scores at half-time from all the leagues today. Look at him with the ball in towards the penalty. And a fantastic save. Ponzo, he was with the head, and Dubravka there pulls off a fantastic save to keep Burnley in this game and keep the scores at 0-0. Really for Angie Konza there, and he should be doing better with that. And Twanzebe needs to get a bit tighter. He come very late towards him, did Twanzebe there, and if he gets a bit tighter from there, somebody with order header. A good save nevertheless from Martin Dubravka. He Burnley in this game at 0-0. Andrew Kitchen just having a word with Konza and Florentino Luis. Walker's there too. Walker's having a quick word there with Konza. And Konza and Florentino Luis seem to be laughing as Cash takes this corner this time, and the towards go by Bubakar Kamara. Breaks now to Cash. Back to John McGinn, the Scotland international. Cash this time whips the ball into the penalty area. It's cleared away. Only as far as Bugard. Out wide to Luca Dean, who slams the ball into the penalty area. Pau Torres with the header, and he goes just wide of the target there. Aston Villa 0, Burnley 0 in the Premier League. Also, that is the same scoreline at the Il Dickinson Stadium, St James's Park, and Molineux, where Everton, Newcastle, and Wolves take on Crystal Palace, Nottingham Forest, and Brighton, respectively, this afternoon at 2 p.m. UK time. For those listening, wherever you are in the world, 14 minutes gone here at Villa Park. Is Aston Villa 0, Burnley 0 in the Premier League. As a goal kick for Burnley taken by Martin Dubravka, sends it long downfield, flicked on there. Only picked off by Luca Dean. He breaks towards Pau Torres, who can take a couple of touches and then send it forward to Rodgers. Gets it bad there, Rodgers, but Martino Luis nips in. To get the ball back for Burnley. Out wide to Kyle Walker. Goes back here now. Axel Twanzebe, the former Villa loanee, also formerly of Manchester United. Here is Florentino Luis. He takes 1-2 with Josh Cullen and then finds Maxime Esteve. Esteve can come forward. Crossfield pass out wide there to Kyle Walker. Walker locked it inside the Chuana. Back he goes now into the path of Twanzebe. Now here comes Burnley again with possession. Florentino Luis, chip ball out wide for Kyle Walker, who brings it down well. Walker, back to Josh Cullen. Josh Loren is there. Here's Twanzebe. All the Burnley outfield players are inside the Villa half at the moment. So if Villa get the ball and break quickly, they could be on for a really good counter-attack. And they've got the ball back here. And if Villa break quickly now, could be on for a counter-attack. The guy went down there. Referee said no foul. Play will continue as here comes Burnley now with Anthony out wide to Arman. Arman with the low centre of ball in. Plus Kyle Walker with the back post. He pulls the ball back looking for Chuana. Pau Torres is there. Gets it to Luca Dean. Luca Dean takes a touch to Bubakar Kamara. Kamara gets it to Torres again. Plays off with Walker. Kamara. Torres. Kamara again. Kamara. Crossfield pass to Malik Kiat from inside his own penalty area. And then into Bergard. Now John McGinn. McGinn goes down under the challenge of Florentino Luis, but the referee says advantages. Bergard comes away with possession, who is then fouled by Lyle Foster, and that will result in the game's first yellow card of the afternoon for Lyle Foster. And it remains Aston Villa 0, Burnley 0 here in the Premier League. Fantastic bit of play this as you watch this go through. Push down there was Bergard, and a definite booking there for Lyle Foster. Can't do that and get away with it in the Premier League. Absolutely very too easy that there from Paul. And we'll go through all the scores from the weekend in the Premier League at half time. And again, just before we finish this afternoon today as well. It will be a ball into the penalty area from Kamara. Breaks in there. What a save by Dubravka, but the flag is raised for offside inside the Burnley penalty area. Dubravka wasn't to know as Pau Torres' effort was saved brilliantly by. So as you can see there, at the graphic, you can see there, Watkins is offside, and he gets the slides to touches. Daniel Mullen was onside, but the touch from Watkins is what's giving it offside. Torres wasn't to know, and the shot was saved by the legs of Martin Dubravka. Far too easy enough for Villa yet again to get in behind Burnley from a set piece, and one other time Villa will time this correctly and potentially punish Burnley if Dubravka's not on it. Here's Foster who loses out. There's Brigard wins the ball back off it. Here's Torres who had that chance, which was saved by Dubravka despite the offside flag being raised against Ollie Watkins. Here's John McGinn though now for Villa. He turns away. There's a wonderful ball for looking for Daniel Marlon. Burnley win the ball back as Arman sends it forward looking for the run there of Lyle Foster, but the free kick is being given to Burnley. Foul on Arman after he had played the ball forward there. And it remains Aston Villa 0, Burnley 0. Just a reminder that Lyle Foster picked up a yellow card in the 17th minute for a push on Lamine Bagard of Aston Villa. It's Aston Villa 0, Burnley 0 in the Premier League as we watch this game unfold this afternoon. And is it up forward, jumped into the air, then ball over the top. Here comes Burnley on the attack, pulling back to Walker. Valentino Luis drops it back over to Laurent, now into Twanzebe. Esteve, Burnley enjoying a lot of possession, but not really doing anything with it, not really creating any chances or testing Emi Martinez in the Burnley, in the Villa. Will he get there a second attempt? He won't. The offside flag is up against him though, and I think that is spot on as well, you know. And if you're listening here on JB Sports for the first part of our race on Sunday, thank you very much for doing so. We'll be on here up until the end of this game, but then we'll be switching over for the second game of the afternoon to the Commenttary Hub and Storm FM on YouTube and my very own personal Twitch channel today. But with it being Burnley, I thought I'd give JB a special appearance full of Burnley games on his channel, with JB being a Burnley channel, and we have got Aston Villa against Burnley here this afternoon. It's Aston Villa 0, Burnley 0 in the Premier League. Here's Watkins who goes down. Referee says play on us. And he's away into Lyle Foster, who's onside. Lyle Foster back in towards Jaden Ante. He's blocked in there by Pau Torres. And then Malikash just clears it away to keep the ball in play for Aston Villa. Back to Konza now from the guard. Konza goes down under the challenge of Lyle Foster, who nudges him in the back. And Foster has got to be careful because he has been booked already this afternoon. I can tell you there has been a goal in the game at Molineux, and Wolverhampton Wanderers are leading against Brighton. It's Wolves 1, Brighton 0. Just awaiting confirmation of the goal scorer for that one. The Wolves are leading against Brighton by a goal to 0 in the Premier League this afternoon. We'll get confirmation of that goal scorer for you in just a moment, and we'll let you know if the goal does stand, as well as we can keep you up to date here this afternoon. Brighton have got a yellow card in that game as well. Kwame with a booking there as well. And I can tell you, is Bart the Bruggen who's put through his own net to give Wolves the lead at Molineux against Burnley there. It remains Aston Villa 0, Burnley 0 here in the Premier League. Wolves 1 up thanks to the Bruggen own goal there. As here comes Burnley this time here in our match with Cullen to Walker. Back it goes now into the path there of Laurent, into Valentino Luis, who has played a left back a few times for Burnley already, but he's part of a back five today. Drops into midfield between him and Josh Laurent, rotating down row as Armin Plays off of McGinney now for the throw-in. It's Aston Villa 1. Aston Villa 0, Burnley 0, should I say. Well, Foster gets it out wide to the near side. But Kyle Walker. Walker drops it back to Cullen. Trying to turning, bring it away. So Villa win the ball back, and here's Watkins. Wonderful one from Watkins. Away from Esteve, breaks it towards Daniel Marlin, but Juan Zebi there. Brilliant piece of defensive work to get Burnley out of trouble. And now, Valentino Luiz onto Jadon Anthony. Back to Luiz again. Crossfield pass for Kyle Walker. This is a good bit of play from Burnley. They're taking the time here, Burnley, as well. And really good stuff here so far. It's Aston Villa 0, Burnley 0 in the Premier League this afternoon here. Played 23 minutes of the first half and 23 minutes as well as confirmation of that goal I mentioned from Brogan putting through his own net. It's just popped up on my screens there. Wolves 1. Brighton 0 there. Everton 0, Crystal Palace 0. There's another Premier League ladies score, and so too is Newcastle against Forest. That's also goals there. And as I mentioned, Wolves 1, Brighton 0 as well. And if you're tuning for our game today, it's still 0-0, approaching 24 minutes. Villa have yet to really get out of the first game, but they have caused a few problems for Burnley, who are trying to do likewise for Villa, as Watkins does well up against Twan Zabi, and Villa just keep possession, and the ball is now played through for Daniel Marlin, and Daniel Marlin's in here. That's him with Daniel Marlin. 1-0 to the Villans, and defensive being breach on 25 minutes, and it's Daniel Marlin with the goal here this afternoon, and the Villans take the lead at Villa Park against Burnley. It's Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0. Daniel Marlin, the Dutchman, with the goal. And it all stems from Burnley giving the ball away. He broke it to Morgan Rogers, who played a superb through ball for Daniel Marlin. On the wrong side of Esteve and drilled it into the bottom corner beyond Martin Dubravka. Dubravka committed to his left, and he drilled it back across him to Dubravka's right to put Villa into the lead. No VAR check will be needed for that one. Perfectly legitimately good goal, and Aston Villa finally lead here at Villa Park against Burnley. It's Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 in the Premier League as the headers up now. And Burnley are trying to respond as they started well here, Burnley, and Villa, they've not really tested Emi Martinez. Burnley, that's the only issue. And a lot of the ball, but not really done anything with it, Burnley, so far. And a lot of the time last season in the Championship, we were like that as well. In certain number of games, I think Burnley were trying to get towards 30 minutes of still 0-0 and then push on and try to keep getting it to 0-0 just every 10-15 minutes to see how Villa would react. But Villa's got the breakthrough, which now means Burnley have to come out and try and be expansive, try and create things which could leave them vulnerable at the back and leave them open at the back for Villa counter-attacks. And I think Villa playing a very good game. Then Burnley have possession, and then when they're getting the countering very, very quickly and causing Burnley a number of problems doing that in the transitional areas. Juan Zebi now for Burnley into Florentino Luiz, who turns on halfway just inside the centre circle, inside the Villa half now, into Josh Cullen, on towards Truena, back into Cullen again. Now Walker. Kyle Walker. Inside to Luiz, who can look up and play ball out wide to Jadon Anthony up against Manny Cash. Anthony cuts in field. Still going, Jadon Anthony's pulled down, is he there? The referee says no, play will go on. And Daniel Marlin, the goal scorer, can break here for Aston Villa. Trying to play a crossfield pass there to get Morgan Rogers away, and that was a poor ball. And now Walker with possession to Cullen. Now Luiz. Ball out wide to Armin. play this from Burnley. Just need the end product here to work. Infield from Foster, across there from number 16 Louise, out wide to Trenner. Trenner takes it on his man, which is Luca Dean over there with him. Back to Walker. Walker knocks him past and then throws himself to the ground. There just Kyle Walker. Boubacar Kamara gets there. Oh, and he's now bundled off the ball by Josh Loren, and that'll be a free kick, and that could be. And another day, one referee would have booked Josh Loren there for a body check on Morgan Rogers, on Boubacar Kamara there, as he just come across him and just pushes him over. And another day, referee would have booked him there, but on this occasion, only a free kick for Villa is what's been given today. When I say Burnley have played well, Paul, I think they've done well on possession, but defensively, when Villa have got the transitional moments, that's where Burnley have been most vulnerable today, in my opinion, Paul. Paul James, my producer for this game today, and he will be on air later with the Brentford against Manchester City game, as the ball is now with John McGinn. John McGinn gets it out wide there to Torres, into Boubacar Kamara. When Villa have got the ball like this, Burnley have looked solidly compact. It's just when they've played quickly and through the lines is where Burnley have been caught out today, in my personal opinion. He's still Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0. We're just joining us as we watch Manny Catch to come forward, giving the ball away to Jaden Anthony, and he goes down. Anthony stays down and he's looking for a freak. Burnley looking for the ball to go out so Anthony can get some treatment, but Villa play on. Luca Dean with the ball in towards the penalty area. Watkins goes down. Walker clears it away, only as far as Pau Torres. Into Ezri Konsos, now being told to stop the play by referee Andrew Kitchen. And I don't think this should have stopped. It's not an head injury. The play should continue. It is not an head injury, this. I don't know why they stopped it. Maybe because he's holding his head, but he's not an injury. But that could have. And we've seen that challenge again. Manikash is a lucky boy not to be sent off there. Stands on his foot there. And it remains 1-0 to Villa. Anthony just getting dreaming to Florentino Luis. Just takes a drink on board. Just to recap then of the Premier League scores this afternoon. It's Aston Villa 1. Burnley, as we'll just see the goal again from Daniel Marlon. Brilliant ball through from Morgan Rogers, and Marlon in behind to put him into the back of the net. Into the back of the net to score his first goal for Aston Villa. Everton 0, Crystal Palace 0, and that's Marlon's first goal of the season for Aston Villa, as well as also Newcastle 0, Nottingham Forest 0, as well as 0 between Everton and Crystal Palace. And Wolves are leading by a goal to 0 against Brighton, but the Bruggen put through his own net on 21 minutes. There remains Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 here in the Premier League, as Konza gets it to Bigard with Cash off the field. He goes back into Manny Cash, Burnley down to 10 minutes at the moment, with Anthony off the field, having received a bit of treatment there. So can Villa strike while the iron is hot, and while Burnley are down to 10 men, can Villa get a second goal with them having a man advantage thus far? Here's Kamara. Into Bigard. And now into Ezri Konsa again. Torres. Out wide. Left from Torres into Kamara. Back he goes now to Konsa. Ezri Konsa moves away from Ralph Foster and goes out wide to Luca Dean. Luca Dean inside to Morgan Rogers. And Rogers gets the ball out wide here. Low centre ball in towards the penalty area. And Watkins goes down there. The referee says no fouls. The ball can come forward. Here is Collins now into Torres. A bit of movement here as we play 32.5 minutes. It's Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 as Pau Torres has possession. Into Boubacar Kamara. And Kamara drops it back here to Ezri Konza, who chips the ball out wide to Malik Castro, brings it down well. Burnley back up to full complement of players. Anthony back on and looks okay to continue. Does the Burnley winger. Had a whole loan spell at Leeds United before joining Burnley on loan last season. Made his loan move from Bournemouth a permanent one. Did Jadon Anthony after impressing Scott Park, winning and excelling last season, and started off well in the Premier League as well as Jadon Anthony. He's been one of the some of the games I've watched, he's been one of the bright sparks for Burnley going forward. Defensively, had troubles. And it remains Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 in the Premier League as we watch us throwing down the line from Kyle Walker. The long throw into Lau Foster up against Pau Torres, and Lau Foster wins Burnley another throw-in. It's still 0-0 between Everton and Crystal Palace at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Same scoreline as St James's Park between Newcastle United and under pressure Nottingham Forest box as opposed to Coglu's Nottingham Forest. As Wolves 1, Brighton 0 in Villa Premier League game as well. We'll pull through his own net there, and we'll keep you updated with the goals there. And it remains Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 here in the Premier League. Long ball to the penalty area, bounces away. Shot comes in from Cullen and just wide. He may have got a touch onto the post. He comes onto the post there. But Josh Cullen so unlucky not to level things for Burnley here. Long point to the penalty area. We got headed out to the edge of the box, and Cullen comes onto it and just goes onto the post. Does he get a touch from Emi Martinez en route? I think he does, onto the post and wide. Emi Martinez with a superb save there. And he made Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 in the Premier League. Aston Villa 0, Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 in the Premier League. Look at him looking at the ball. I'm just looking at Lau Foster there. As that corner came in, he's headed down for yet another corner. And Luca Dean is a lucky man there, because he's not looking at the ball one iota, Luca Dean. He's just looking at Lau Foster all the time. And this ball comes in now onto the crossbar from Burnley and behind for a goal kick. And Jadon Anthony with that corner onto the crossbar there. And you've got to say that it's been a good response to Burnley without really finding the back of the net. Without finding the back of the net, just getting a really good effort response. And that's a good effort from Josh Cullen again. As we see it here, and he just took 2 deflections. Lucky in the post. Unfortunately, but he didn't in the post. There's a deflection and it's pushed behind as well. Burnley yet to really get going. Here is Cullen now into Anthony. Burnley are trying to hang on towards half time, and they've got less than 9 minutes to do that until half time to change things around. And it's Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 as it will be a free kick to the Clarets. All in there and by Boubacar Kamara, and Burnley have gone quickly trying to pick out Ralph Foster in behind. Ralph can clear the ball away, and Burnley and actually backtrack. Instead it does well, gets the head of Watkins and knocks it back to Dubravka and across there to Lauren, and Burnley just skated out of the way. And then here comes Burnley again with Walker. And now the play goes for a throw-in. Luca Dean wanting a free kick there. Walker will play backwards. Looking now back onto his feet and back on the pitch. So both teams are back onto 11 players each. Looking when he gave away that free kick, fell into and landed on the side of the pitch. No shot of the Villa dugout. Burnley being forced back to their goalkeeper Martin Dubravka, and it remains Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0. Good play here as they will look to come forward here. Esteve just keeps the ball in and flicked on by Anthony up towards Lyle Foster, who's pushed over Ezri Konza there, and he's got to be careful, Lyle Foster. There remains Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 as Crystal Palace have taken the lead against Everton. Daniel Munoz with the goal on 37 minutes has given Crystal Palace a lead at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Now, so all the games apart from Newcastle against Nottingham Forest have had goals in them so far. Everton 0, Crystal Palace 1, Newcastle 0, Forest 0 is the only goalless game, as it's Wolves 1, Brighton 0, and here is Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0. Daniel Marlin is charging forward. Daniel Marlin, wonderful run from him. The goal scorer, the Dutchman out wide. There to Morgan Rogers. Rogers to John McGinn on the edge of the penalty. Back in towards Rogers. Was pulled down inside the penalty by Clinton Zabian. Villa wanted the penalty there. The referee's not interested. VAR will be checking this. Let me look at this again. Is this a penalty? I've seen them given. He's going to go. Rogers is going to go in this ball here. So this is a penalty for me. This should be a penalty here for Aston Villa. This should be a penalty here. I think VAR are checking this. And Lukic is telling them to just wait a moment. VAR have checked it, and it is just going to be a goal kick. Here instead is Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0. Just a goal kick, no penalty given. But for me, that should have been a Burnley penalty. That should have been a Villa penalty there for me, because he's put on the inside of the penalty. He's going to get on and he's going to get on end of this ball. With Morgan Rogers, if he went for that touch there from Axel Tuanzebe. And it remains Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 here in the Premier League. As Burnley now have got away one there, in my opinion. Here's Armand. Infield it goes to Cullen. Back it goes now. There to Esteve. Into Cullen again. 1-2 full ball here. Now into Tuanzebe. How wide it goes to that far side. On Lauren into Louise. Louise sends the ball forward. McGinn's there. McGinn goes down on the challenge there of Lyle Foster. There's Jaden Anthony's challenge this time. And Jaden Anthony needs to be careful, because that could be because we'll just look at this again. He's got the hold of his shirt there. And for me, if he hadn't got the hold of his shirt, that would have been a goal scoring opportunity. So that could have been a penalty and a red card for me for Axel Tuanzebe there. He's a very lucky boy. For most of my opinions, I think it was a penalty there. But, as I say, all about opinions. Here is Ezri Konza. Now into Begard. Here's Daniel Marlin. And now Jaden Anthony can come away with possession. Anthony is charged forward. And now here's Daniel Marlin. Daniel Marlin's charging through. And Morgan Rogers is through now. As you heard, Morgan Rogers still going. Daniel Marlin comes there in a fantastic challenge by Maxime Esteve to get back to stop Daniel Marlin from making it 2-0. Brilliant piece of play there. Wonderful interception from Maxime Esteve there. Brilliant ball in towards Daniel Marlin, and that could have been 2-0 had Marlin had gone there. And it remains Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 as Ezri Konsa has been inside his own penalty area. Now outside of his own penalty area, Chop coming forward. He looks up and into the guard. And now Matty Cash is there. Cash back. He goes now to Konsa. Good ball from Watkins to Torres. Now Luca Dean. Back he goes now to Torres once more. And back now with Emi Martinez. Emi Martinez takes a touch. Takes 2 more touches. And a third. And a fourth. And a fifth. And as he's doing that, he's walking backwards towards his own goal. And then clear with his left foot out wide to this right hand side. And Matty Cash. Cash sends the ball infield looking for the Will of Rogers, who gets there. And Morgan Rogers has gone. Watkins to the left. Marlon to the right. He goes to Watkins. Watkins tries to pull the ball back. It's Twanzebe. Walker's there to check it away. And he's pushed down by Morgan Rogers. And that will be a free kick to Burnley there. Is Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0. As we look at this again, Liverpool Rogers, he goes to Watkins. Watkins trying to play back towards Rogers, blocked by Twanzebe, and then Walker was nudged over by Morgan Rogers there, and a free kick to Burnley, which will be taken by Martin Dubravka inside his own penalty area. Here remains Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 in the Premier League. And the ball is sent forward. And here comes the ball again. It's bumped forward in towards the penalty area. And it's caught in by Martinez. Into the final 10 seconds of the first half. Where Aston Villa leading it by a goal. And in my opinion, looking not to get a penalty when Morgan Rogers was brought down. Trying to go into the ball inside the penalty by Axel Twanzebe. And we're into 3 additional minutes in this first half as John McGinn gets it out wide to Luca Dean over on that far side, the Villa left. Infield to Boubacar Kamara. Boubacar Kamara will look up and play back to John McGinn, and now into Pau Torres, who gets the ball through to Ollie Watkins. Watkins round the corner, but Walker's there, and Walker just lets him run behind for a goal kick, and that's good defensive play there by Kyle Walker. And we've coming up towards one of the 3 added minutes there, end of this first half. So we're into the 3 added minutes end of this first half, and it's still Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0. In the Premier League this afternoon. Russ Vernon guiding you through this action as we watch on here as Burnley and Aston Villa play out in Villa Park. We had a minute of the first half injury time gone, and it's still 1-0 to Aston Villa. Excuse me there if you just heard me sneeze on air. I do apologise, I don't know where that came from. Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0. And first part of the brace on Sunday, we'll be featuring Burnley, is on JB Sports, as well as the Commenttary Hub and Storm FM, instead of my very own personal Twitch channel, as a favour to our colleague John Stuttard, also known as JB, the owner of JB Sports. Here is Boubacar Kamara. Out wide to Pau Torres, down the line he goes there from Luca Dean. A bit of full work here from Rogers to turn away from his man, and Rogers is coming forward from again through to Watkins. Watkins! That should have been 2-0. He blazed it over the crossbar, and how was Watkins missed from there? I do not know. Half time in the other matches in the Premier League is Everton 0, Crystal Palace 1, Newcastle 0, Nottingham Forest 0, and Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Brighton Hove Albion 0 at half-time scores there. Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 in the Premier League as we played almost. We've got about 20 seconds left of injury time to go before the half-time whistle goes here. As the goalkeeper from Burnley is sent forward. This for Jadon Anthony. Anthony can't get the ball through to Lyle Foster. And Trainer can't get there. Josh Cullen blocks it. Lyle Foster gets there. It was Jadon Anthony who's up against Konza. And Burnley will come away with possession. But the half-time whistle does blow here at Villa Park. And we're at half-time now. It is Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 at half-time. Daniel Marlon with the goal on 25 minutes is the difference between the two sides at the end of the first half. And we're at half-time where Aston Villa lead here by a goal to 0. Before we go for our break, let's take a quick look at the scores from around the grounds this weekend, starting off in the Premier League. And on Friday evening, it was Bournemouth 3, Fulham 1. On Saturday afternoon, it was Leeds United 1, Tottenham Hotspur 2, Arsenal 2, West Ham United 0. Manchester United 2, Sunderland 0, Chelsea 2, Liverpool 1. On to Sunday afternoon, half-time scores are Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0, Everton 0, Crystal Palace 1, Newcastle 0, Nottingham Forest 0, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Brighton Hove Albion 0. Brentford against Manchester City is coming up next here on the Commentary Hub. On to the Championship. And on Friday night, Wrexham 1, Birmingham City 1. Saturday afternoon, Blackburn Rovers 1, Stoke City 1. Hull City 1, Sheffield United 0. Sheffield Wednesday 0, Coventry City 5. Bristol City 1, QPR 2. Continuing in the Championship, Bristol City 1, QPR 2 as I've just mentioned. Derby County 1, Southampton 1. Millwall 3, West Bromwich Albion 0. Portsmouth 1, Middlesbrough 0. Preston North End 2, Charlton Athletic 0. Swansea City 1, Leicester City 3. Watford 2, Oxford 1. And today, early kick-off, Ipswich Town 3, Norwich City 1. Into League 1. On Thursday evening, in the round of fixtures, was Rotherham United 2, Bradford City 2. Then on to Saturday afternoon in League 1. It finished Doncaster Rovers 1, Burton Albion 1. Wycombe Wanderers 2, Barnsley 2. Blackpool 0, AFC Wimbledon 2. Bolton Wanderers 2, Peterborough United 1. Cardiff City 4, Leyton Orient 3. Huddersfield Town 1, Stockport County 2. Lincoln City 0, Exeter City 1. Plymouth Argyle 1, Wigan Athletic 1. Port Vale 0, Northampton Town 0. Reading 1, Mansfield Town 1. Stevenage 2, Luton Town 0. Into League 2. Milton Keynes Dons 3, Gillingham 2. Newport County 0, Swindon Town 1. Barnet 2, Accrington Stanley 0. Barrow 0, Shrewsbury Town 0. Bromley 3, Tranmere Rovers 3. Cambridge United 3, Crawley Town 1. Cheltenham Town 2, Fleetwood Town 0. Colchester United 6, Chesterfield 2. Notts County 3, Oldham Athletic 1. Salford City 0, Grimsby Town 2. Walsall 2, Bristol Rovers 1. And Harrogate Town versus Alexandria is Monday Night Football at 8 o'clock tomorrow in League 2 as well. So here then at half time is Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0. We're going to go for a quick break. And when we return, we're back in time for the second half action. Half time here is Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0. Welcome back to Villa Park on the Commenttary Hub's coverage of Aston Villa against Burnley on the Brace on Sunday. Premier League live as Aston Villa take on Burnley in the Premier League this afternoon. Villa leading by a goal to nil thanks to Donyell Marlin's goal on 25 minutes. The difference ahead of the second half. All the other scores are as you were. Those three matches have got underway in the second half. Everton 0, Crystal Palace 1, Newcastle 0, Forest 0, Wolves 1, Brighton 0, and Forest still awaiting their first victory under new ball and Postecoglou. Right then. The second half is about to get underway. No changes to either side. Aston Villa will get us off and underway in just a second. The referee is just having a word with the match with the Burnley defender there, Axel Andrew Kitchen, and he's Donyell Marlin will get us off and underway in a second now. The whistle blows and we're back underway for the second half in the West Midlands, where Aston Villa lead here by a goal to nil against Burnley in the Premier League on this Sunday afternoon. Villa side at the start of the Martinez in goal, Cash, Konza, Torres and Luka Dean. Regarding Kamara in midfield, Marlon the goal scorer, Rodgers and McGinn behind Watkins as he comes Aston Villa in possession with Donyell Marlin. For Burnley, it's the Brad Green goal, Walker, Lauren, Twanzebe, Esteve and Armin across the back. Joanna, Cullen, Valentino Luis and Anthony in midfield. Foster, who's on a yellow card, leads the line as a ball towards Josh Cullen, who was waiting through from midfield there. Couldn't get on end of it there, so it remains 1-0 to Aston Villa. Burnley with a giveaway early on in the second half as Regard takes over possession out wide to Matty Cash for Aston Villa. Villa 1, Burnley 0 in the Premier League. If you're just joining us, the benches are as they were in the third at the start of the game as well. So Bizot, Lindelof, Barkley, Elliott, Buendia, Guillermo Alaba, Maatsen, Onana and Gesand for Villa. For Burnley is Max Weiss. A break off as Burnley having to defend here, and they've done well initially, but then Luka Dean's picked up possession and running through the Burnley bench again just a moment as Luka Dean left inside of the penalty area. Back to Kamara. Dean in field to Rodgers. Morgan Rodgers will line up a strike. No, it takes a couple of touches. Still always up on the ball. He rolls it to Kamara. Kamara goes back here now to Torres. Torres into Luka Dean. Down the line, it goes towards Rodgers. Rodgers is there. Holds up the play well. It goes back here to Kamara. Kamara will take a touch and go to this near side of Luka Dean. Luka Dean back now to Kamara. Across there, it goes well. It remains Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 here in the Premier League. If you're just joining us this afternoon, Donyell Marlin's 25th minute strike separates the two sides. As McCart gets the ball into the goal scorer, who drops it to McGinn. Foster nips it and gets the ball back. And Foster is now away down the left hand side, charging into space. He's got to run into the penalty with him, and his ball back comes back up him and for a goal kick to Aston Villa. Good bit of play there. Well, Foster broke away down that left hand side. He's going to the penalty area, pulled the ball back, and he rebounds off of him and behind for a goal kick. Good bit of defending there by Boubacar Kamara. On the bench then for Burnley, since we've got the stoppage in play, we've got Max Weiss in goal, Worrell, Will Lawson, Ugachukwu, Edwards, Humphries, Fleming, Royer and Medjbury. Andrew Kitchen the referee, Dan Cook and Craig Taylor are the assistants. Tony Harrington, fourth official, Michael Oliver and VAR with James Bell, his assistant this afternoon. It is Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 in the Premier League, as here is Walker. Crossfield pass looking for one of Armin in behind there, and Matty Cash did well to defend that really, really well there. It remains at coming up towards 49 minutes going here at Villa Park. Is Luca Dean now with possession into Boubacar Kamara. And there's well a few moments to go to win a goal kick up against Lau Foss, who faulted got a corner for Burnley. Here's the goal scorer Marlon towards Manny Kiash, where Steve gets there. Valentino Luis back hill to Armin, who clears up towards Chueno, flicks the ball on. No one in a dark black shirt, black shorts, black socks could go under that, as that's the colours Burnley are in today against Aston Villa here at Villa Park in the Premier League. It's Aston Villa who lead by 1-0 if you're just joining us. Will Burnley turn this around, or more misery piled on Scott Parker's men in the early parts of the season? The other two promoted sides in Sunderland and Leeds doing fairly well. Leeds first defeat at home this season and third defeat of the campaign yesterday against Tottenham. 2 deflected goals for Spurs in a game which Leeds largely dominated, and Spurs only had 2 deflected goals, to have 2 deflected goals to beat Daniel Farke's men at Ellen Road yesterday. A lot of positives come out of it for Daniel Farke and his Leeds troops and the Leeds supporters leaving Ellen Road yesterday. Here is Ezri Konsa. Good ball across there to Regard. Now into Manny Cash, who's got in a lot of space. Into Marlon, who flicks it on looking for Watkins, who wasn't on the same wavelength as the Dutchman. Now Jaden Anthony is fouled there, is he? The referee says yes. There's a foul by Regard there, and the referee gives Burnley a free kick as we see that challenge again on Jaden Anthony, and that is a bad challenge there. No yellow card for the Villa man, as Anthony is limping a little bit, which is not a good sign for Burnley. Should he have to go off, they could fetch on the likes, they fetch on Marcus Edwards or Jakob Brun-Larsen, who could both play on the wing. I would probably say we'd probably go for Edwards should Anthony have to come off, but it would be a big blow for the Clarets if that was to be the case. And the ball is now with Ezri Konsa. He does well there, Konsa, brilliantly. Into Pau Torres, who was up against Lau Foster. Now it's Manny Kiash in possession as Konsa and Torres high-five each other for that good piece of play by Ezri Konsa there. Catch now, still with possession, and has gone back into Konsa. Konsa into Kamara, back to Konsa again. Now Pau Torres, who's in some space on this left-hand side. Into Luca Dino, goes in field, and Burnley win the ball back. Chuana in field. There's a fat late challenge there by Luca Dino and Chuana goes down, and the referee takes out a yellow card there and books the Villa left back there. I've got to say that was a deserving yellow card there in my opinion for the Villa left back. His second yellow card of the season. And no worries, John. John, if you like what you're hearing, my friend, please drop us a subscription and a like on the video, and share it to your friends as well, as information there of Luca Dean's yellow card is on your screen. Please drop us a follow, please give us a like and subscription, and share with your friends and family as well, and get them to subscribe and like as well. We really do appreciate the support, John, and we're really good to have you on board with us this afternoon as well. Still, this is how the Premier League latest game scores are across the country today. Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 is the one that you're hearing here as Regard comes away with possession, charging up towards halfway. And Daniel Marlon is taking over, and he's only running towards Ollie Watkins. That was Daniel Marlon. Morgan Rogers has placed it wide. He's got a deflection behind for a corner to Aston Villa. Good piece of play from Villa, and almost a second goal there. Brilliant one from Daniel Marlon. He broke in towards Watkins. Back heel flicking to Marlon. Comes back to Rogers, who showers Bob Dubravka behind for a goal, behind for a corner kick to the Villans. Elsewhere, the Ildickson Stadium is Everton 0, Crystal Palace 1. St James's Park, Newcastle 0, Forest 0. And Molineux, Wolves 1, Brighton 0 is the scores there. Later, Brentford against Manchester City is the offering on the country of Storm FM as a shot from John McGinn goes wide after a short corner was taken by the Villans there. Later, if you're listening on JB Sports right now, you'd have to go over to the commentary of Storm FM later on YouTube to listen to Brentford against Manchester City, because we've only got this game on JB Sports this afternoon for your listening pleasure, and I'm doing this out of a favour. He didn't ask, I thought I'd do it in taking a break. JB John Stuttard, he's a big Burnley fan, so I thought I'd give him something to have a listen to while watching this game today, so you can have a listen to my dulcet tones over a Burnley game for a change, because he normally does most of the Burnley matches for his channel, so I thought I'd do a bit of a change, and that I bring it as part of our race on Sunday here on the commentary. Race on Sunday, Premier League Live is Aston Villa against Burnley. Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0. Later is part of our double header is Brentford against Manchester City. We see Jakob Lawson getting some instructions. Then there's another Burnley man getting some instructions as well, just trying to work out who that other one is. That's the next game up on the commentary of the G-Tech Community Stadium. Brentford against Manchester City today as we watch Villa against Burnley this afternoon. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well and share it out to your friends if you're new listening along to our coverage this afternoon, and make sure you tell your friends about us here on the Commentary Hub, Storm FM, JB Sports, also Commentary Hub 2 as well, where you can listen to our coverage of matches as we can see the score. Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 on your screens there. Marlon with the goal on 25 minutes, the difference there. Here is Begard across there to Ezri Konza for Aston Villa. And it's John McGinn who can turn away. It's Daniel Marlon who loses out, and Villa will try to come forward, and Burnley on the charge now with Lyle Foster left hand side of the penalty area. Goes back for Jadon Anthony, whose touch was a bit too heavy. The ball got away from him, and now Daniel Marlon can set Ollie Watkins away. Good end-to-end stuff now here at Villa Park. Watkins holds up the play and goes back to Pau Torres into Boubacar Kamara over halfway, charging forward now. What can Kamara do with possession? He can look up and take a couple of touches and then find Condra inside the centre circle. Across that far side of the right, Begard back into Konza. Was inside the centre circle still, but inside the Burnley half of the field. Across the left hand side, and Proud Toys back into the centre circle and halfway for Ezri Konza again. John McGinn collects him just inside the centre circle, goes back over halfway to Begard. Through into Watkins. Round the corner for Cash. Back into Begard again as Burnley are just keeping possession well here, and Villa keeping possession well here, and Burnley are just keeping their shape well here, and telling Burnley to play around and try and break them down here. They've gone round on the wings, try and do this with Lukadine back heel flick towards the one there of Morgan Rogers, but the ball did go out of play for a throw-in from Burnley bring on Boya and Jakob Lawson. Is Joanna is one of the players coming off, and the other player coming off as well here is Jadon Anthony, which I'm not surprised that Anthony going up towards the end of the first half. So Joanna and Anthony are off, but Lawson and Boya are on for Burnley as they make a double change here to try and get back into with Breuer, a striker coming on, and Lawson is a winger, as well as Villa have a throw-in, which will be taken by Luca Dean. And he goes back here to Pau Torres. And Pau Torres will look up and go across here to Ezri Konsa. Now into Manikac. John McGinn against Florentino Luis. And he's watched by Maya Breuer as well. So it goes to Konsa, this time to keep hold of possession. But God now has it. Catch towards Rodgers, giving the ball away. As Burnley just have possession with Fox, who loses out up against Torres. Now Cullen with Luis. Now Arman. Out wide is Jacob Lawson. Back he goes now to Esteve. Into Cullen. Newcastle have taken the lead against Ange Postecoglou's Nottingham Forest. Bruno Guimaraes on 58 minutes as here comes Lawson through the middle. Lawson can't get there, and it remains 1-0 to Aston Villa. I mean, now we're gone here. It's Everton 0, Crystal Palace 1, Luxor 1, Forest 0, Wolves 1, Brighton 0 is the scoreline here. Is the scoreline in Molyneux as well. And here it is Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 in the Premier League, as you are listening to the Brace on Sunday Premier League live here on the Commentary Hub. Russ Vernon guiding you through the Premier League action today as we bring you Aston Villa against Burnley. This confirmation of the Burnley subs just appeared on your screen just there. It remains Aston Villa 1, Burnley 0 in the Premier League. For your Premier League Sunday offering. Part one of the double header that we've got for you. Brentford v Man City coming up later on the Commentary Hub, Storm FM, and on my personal Twitch channel later there. You can hear that instead of here on, if you listen to this on JB Sports. There's a Burnley man down here, I believe. Looks like a man just trying to work out who it is who's down here for Burnley. The referee stopped the play with Lawson in possession. Florentino Luis is down. Claiming he got an elbow to his face there. Let's have a look at this again. Does he get an elbow here from Ollie Watkins? He got a punch in the face, but it's accidental. He's trying to hold him off there, in my opinion. Nothing worthy of a yellow card. Bruno Guimaraes with the goal on 58 minutes for Newcastle to lead against Ange Postecoglou's Nottingham Forest. And Ange Postecoglou's Nottingham Forest have slipped to 17th in the table this afternoon with their defeat as it stands against Newcastle United. Here they come now, Aston Villa with Begard. Out wide, it goes to Manikac. Catch. Throws it back to McGinn, into Begard. Now Rodgers. Rodgers is charging forward. It's a Daniel Marlon. It's 2-0 to Aston Villa on 63 minutes. And it's Daniel Marlon with his and Villa's second. And Villa are just too good this afternoon for Burnley. Daniel Marlon fires in his second and Villa's second as they lead here by 2 goals. So Burnley are appealing for something. They're chatting to referee Andrew Kitchen here. Not sure what they're appealing for. Let's have a look here. If they're appealing for offside, he's onside. If they're appealing for offside, then they are stupid, because that's clearly onside. It's Daniel Marlon, and that is 2-0 to Aston Villa. And Aston Villa just needed to make that second goal to assert their dominance, and Aston Villa lead here by 2-0. Daniel Marlon with a brace on 25 and 63 minutes respectively. It is Aston Villa 2, Burnley 0. We're back underway now as the kickoff has just been taken back to Martin Dubravka who can send this ball long downfield and flicked on there as Rodgers is infield now. Regard to McGinn, who gets it to catch, will send it forward for Rodgers to chase up against Josh Loren, but Rodgers can't get there and he runs into Levitas Nordings, but he doesn't injure himself there, which is good to see. So many people have injured themselves, and that is Emi Buendia is one of the players about to come on here for Aston Villa very, very shortly. I believe the other one could be Evan Gisand. We'll get confirmation of that one in just a second. We'll get confirmation of those subs in just a second, as those two are being spoken to by Unai Emery, who himself was under a bit of pressure, especially with some Villa fans. If they lost this today or even got a draw against Burnley today, they were wanting him gone, where some Villa fans, I find it a bit stupid, because Villa with this win on 9 points, who would have been on 7 with a point and outside of the bottom 3. So I think Villa fans, it's early days and they shouldn't really be calling for manager's head at the moment, but Burnley fans maybe doing that with Scott Parker soon if performances and results don't pick up. Only one win for Burnley all season, and that coming against fellow newly promoted side Sunderland. Burnley's next outing after this is against Leeds United, as Emi Buendia comes on and he is replacing number 11 Ollie Watkins. And it is Gisand is the other one coming on, and he is replacing John McGinn. So McGinn and Watkins, Buendia are on, and I had an idea that it was Gisand when I saw who was coming on here, as there's confirmation of Watkins' change for Buendia. John McGinn will come across and he's going to be replaced by Gisand as well. So 11 Watkins and 7 McGinn off, 10 Buendia and 29 Gisand on. Both Watkins and McGinn have played well today for Aston Villa in their game today, as we see the second of the two changes made there as Gisand has just come on for John McGinn, or as Villa and Scotland fans call him, Super John McGinn. Look at him, takes him throwing quickly to Boubacar Kamara, gets it back to Kamara, goes down, referee says no foul. Burnley win the ball back. Good play from Brody to win it back, and then McGinn it away to catch. Well, then a push like him, and he catch! Takes the deflection, a wonderful save from Martin Dubravka. That could have been 3-0 there. A wonderful stop in the end by Martin Dubravka from Menikash's effort. I think he took 2 deflections. Just one deflection of Maxime Esteve, then he saw it led him Dubravka as well, and with that deflection he's done incredibly well to get it away. And behind Josh Loren, still behind his own goalkeeper where Pau Torres is left, and let's get inside the penalty area. Rodgers 2. Kamara's in front of the goalkeeper, Torres is near him. Kamara gets towards the near post, he goes over his head, flicked on, and bounces just wide, and Burnley have a goal kick. Villa appealing for another corner there. Let's have a look at this again closely. No, he just come off Konza, but they're saying Konza flicked onto the back of Twan Zabi there, but he doesn't. Comes off Ezri Konza last and behind for a goal kick, and you've got to say Burnley have been paused. Scott Parker will make another change here now for Burnley, which we'll see Lyle Foster come off, and Lyle Foster will be replaced by Leslie Ugachukwu, who will come on. Jacob Lawson comes trotting across to have a word with Scott Parker about what is going to happen now with the formation and tactical switches. Burnley have just finished on Leslie Ugachukwu to replace Lyle Foster. And Lyle Foster not really going to the game today, but when he did have battles, that yellow card earlier, and I think that probably played a part in it for Scott Parker fetching him off. But Burnley have yet to, in the second half at least, test Emi Martinez, and they didn't really do that in the first half that much either, to be honest. And remains Aston Villa 2, Burnley 0. Daniel Marlin on for an hat-trick, he's charging away. Got Twanzebe with him, but Twanzebe gets there. He goes into Dubravka, pushes his way up towards the ball. Here comes Valentino Luis. How wide he goes now into the path there of Cullen, who goes in field there to Twanzebe, now into Esteve, into Luis, into Walker now. Good bit of movement here, goes forward there from Burnley by Cullen, who can't gives the ball away. And Burnley have got the ball back as Villa have given the ball away this time. It remains 2-0 to the Villans as we've got 20 minutes left to play. So in around about 10 or so minutes time, I'll be giving my player of the match to my producer, Paul James, this afternoon. As is Ugachukwu, who can charge forward. Remains Aston Villa 2, Burnley 0 in the Premier League. Marlon on 25 and 63 minutes respectively, with the goals for Aston Villa as Walker's ball is cut out there. As we were seeing a good match for Villa. If it stays like this, which I think it potentially could do, Villa will be on there for their second win in 7 Premier League encounters. And currently sitting in 10th, a point behind Manchester United, and Manchester City will play later against Brentford. Do Manchester City. And they are just 2 points behind Sunderland and Chelsea in the Premier League table. Or Aston Villa as it stands right now. Elsewhere, it's still Everton 0, Crystal Palace 1, Newcastle 1, Nottingham Forest 0, and Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 0 in the Premier League today as we watch as the Ugachukwu will come forward. How wide it goes there, but was the penalty area claimed well there by Emi Martinez. Martinez will roll it to this near side, and Luca Dean back he goes into the path there of Martinez. Collins out to catch down the line to Rodgers. Rodgers always up, he loses out, and the ball will come away. Rodgers stays down. Really wanting a free kick. We won't get that. Josh Loren closing down here, and he does well there. Josh Loren breaks for Kyle Walker, and Walker loses out, and he's out to play for a throw off of Emi Buendia. Brilliant with a throw. Rodgers is still down here, and this is bad news for England and Thomas Tuchel here as we watch this series. Gets pulled down to the ground and then almost just rushed part of his foot as he stepped over him there. Did the Burnley substitute as well. With Aston Villa 2, Burnley 0. Burnley with a one throw from Kyle Walker into the penalty area he goes. He breaks back towards Walker. We can't get there up against Luca Dean. Down for yet another Burnley throw-in. Kyle Walker will take a long throw in towards the penalty area again. Got some distance on it this time. Flicked up into the air. Luca Dean heads it away, only as far as Walker. Walker gets it to Luis. Down the line it goes. Takes out Twanzebe. Twanzebe just keeps the ball in play. Does well up here against Buendia. And Martinez had yet another throw-in in a good position for another long throw into the penalty area. Long throws have been more and more common into the Premier League this season than from what we saw last season. The long throw will be in and around the penalty area. Breaks away. Can Villa keep hold of possession? We can't. And Burnley have won the ball back, but out of play for a throw-in now for Villa. And that bit of respite will be taken now for Aston Villa. They'll take a bit of time will Villa here, and it remains Villa 2, Burnley 0. It's Brentford against Man City is the 4:30 kick-off coming up after us here on the Commenttary and Storm FM, and also will be live on Twitch for the later game today as well. Here is the guard across now to Matty Cash. Cash will look up. And Cash takes a couple of touches and he will roll the ball back here now into the guard, back into Cash again, and it goes further back this time to Konza. Across now to Pau Torres. Torres keeps all the possession and goes back to his goalkeeper, Emi Martinez. Martinez was standing inside the D, rolls it to his right for Konza. Konza will look up, find Matty Cash. Cash will look up as well. And will he go inside? No, he goes back there to Konza. And back he goes to Martinez. Across there to Pau Torres. Torres will go down the line for Luca Dean. Luca Dean on his weaker right foot. Not back to Torres, who clears away, but the free kick has been given for a foul by Kyle Walker, pushed over his man. And I can tell you, there's been an equalising goal at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Everton 1, Crystal Palace 1, and the goal scorer is Iliman Ndiaye from the penalty spot on 76 minutes. Everton 1, Crystal Palace 1, Newcastle 1, Forest 0, and Wolves 1, Brighton 0 are the latest scores in the Premier League this afternoon, if you're just tuning into us today. It's Aston Villa 2, Burnley 0 here in our match in the Premier League, as Burnley just win the ball back as Villa managed to keep it in play. And here comes Josh Loren. Loren with the ball over the top, looking for Arman to chase. He does find Arman. Manny catching his ball across in towards the penalty. No one was there. Jacob and Lawson couldn't get on any of that there. And that was so unlucky from a Burnley point of view. And it remains Aston Villa 2, Burnley 0. Arman did well, gets the low ball in him. Not sure if he did take a little deflection. Burnley thought he did. And he did, because Arman's going to cross the corner. And Burnley will have a corner. You know, and I saw Arman winning across this way, and I thought, I was sure I saw the referee give a goal kick. So I just had to wait and double check again here. Only towards the edge up. Walker's it's over with deflects over as well for a corner kick. In the game here, the ball was headed by Pau Torres behind. It remains Aston Villa 2, Burnley 0 here in the Premier League. Corner comes in, and it's 1 goal, and it's Burnley double back. And Burnley have found the goal back, and it's Leslie Ugachukwu with the header from the corner, and it's Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1. Leslie Ugachukwu heads home, and could this mount a Burnley fight back? It's Villa 2, Burnley 1 on 78 minutes. 3 under, I think it's supposed to be picked by Konza, and then Bertie Louise just steps in front of Konza to stop him getting there. Don't find steps in front of him, and Leslie Ugachukwu heads it down into the ground and through the legs of Emi Martinez into the back of the net, and Burnley have a lifeline, and could this now be the catalyst that Burnley need to get back into this game and get an unlikely point, or will this spur Villa on to get another goal to pull the game beyond doubt as a free kick? Foul on Morgan Rogers by Leslie Ugachukwu there. And it's now Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1. What a game this has been. Very shortly, in a couple of minutes or so's time, I'll be having to give my player of the match to my producer, Paul James, and I've got to say, I'm not sure. It could be any one of the Villa players today. And he's Emi Buendia now. It was Marlon. He had a good game as Daniel Marlon. Luca Dean almost played a 1-2 with Emi Buendia, but Buendia's return pass was too much on that. and it remains Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1 in the Premier League today. It remains Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1, if you're just tuning into us here this afternoon. What a game we have got here now in the closing stages. We've got 11 minutes left and it's 2-1. Game is well and truly on now, and we could see a comeback as Josh Cullen just brings down Emi Buendia. Free kick to Aston Villa. Elsewhere, Everton 1, Crystal Palace 1, Newcastle 1, Nottingham Forest 0, Wolves 1, Brighton 0 in the Premier League today. If you're just tuning into us, thank you very much. We really do appreciate it and appreciate you all tuning in to us this afternoon. Here is Luca Dean. Good ball field by Buendia. Good bit of work in. Breaks infield to Kamara. Morgan Rogers! And Dubravka dives, claims it. And I think that was a dive for the cameras for Martin Dubravka there. And in a moment, I'll be giving my player of the match to my producer. And what a game we've got on in hours. Burnley, they're trying to get an equalising goal back here. And it's Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1 in the Premier League this afternoon as we watch on here in Villa Park. Here is Villa. We're cruising at 2-0 up. They've now been pegged back, and could this be the catalyst for Burnley to get back into the game and turn things around maybe in the Premier League this afternoon as we watch this game unfold? Here today as we watch. Then I've just sent my player of the match to my producer Paul James, and I'll reveal that very shortly. Burnley are making a substitution here. We see number 29, Josh Loren, who's playing the centre back, be replaced here, and the man on for him is a striker in Zion Fleming. So Josh Loren is off, Zion Fleming is on, and it's Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1 in the Premier League today. Ball is hit forward and it's cleared out of play for a Burnley throw-in. Villa lead by 2-1 here. Newcastle have just got a second goal against Nottingham Forest. Newcastle 2, Nottingham Forest 0. Volmada. Nick Volmada, the German international from the penalty spot on 84 minutes. The difference there, Newcastle 2, Nottingham Forest 0 is the scoreline there. And Billy almost in for a second. Well, the flag was up for offside anyway against Emmanuel Broya as he broke into the penalty area, trying to get a ball over the top. And he is offside. He went early. So had he have scored, it would not have been. It would have been disallowed and cruelly disallowed too. As Villa are making a substitution here now, which will see Manny Cash being replaced by Victor Lindelof, and number 17, Daniel Marlin, be replaced by number 6, Ross Barkley. So Cash and Marlin off, Lindelof and Barkley are on now for Aston Villa, who lead Burnley by 2-1. Burnley trying to find their way back into the contest and back into the game here today. And it remains Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1, as we see Walker coming forward. Good bit of turn away there, and he's out to play for the throw-in, which will be Burnley's way. Everton 1, Crystal Palace 1, Newcastle 2, Nottingham Forest 0, and Wolves 1, Brighton 0 are the other scores today. So all the games now have got goals in them, and Brighton have just equalised against Wolverhampton Wanderers. It's Wolves 1, Brighton 1 in the Premier League. Here it is 2-1 to Aston Villa. Will Lawson heads the ball in towards Emmanuel Breuer. Wendy clears it away. And it's Paul Van Ecker with the equalising goal for Brighton. Wolves 1, Brighton 1. Burnley are not done here in this game though. Daniel Marlon is our player of the match, as you can see on the screens there. 2 goals for Daniel Marlon today. And it remains Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1 in the Premier League. If you're just tuning into us this afternoon, we really do appreciate it and appreciate you listening to our coach today. As you can see some of his statistics appearing on your screen for Daniel Marlon. In what is a good game here as we watch this game unfold. Will we see another goal in this game as Martinez comes out to claim possession there? It remains Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1. Confirmation on my screen here that Paul Van Ecker has indeed equalised for Brighton. It's Wolves 1, Brighton 1. I did hear that was a VAR check for that goal apparently. For some reason, Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1. If you're tuning to us today as we bring this game to you here on the Commenttary Russ Vernon guiding you through the action. And you just see this again, as this is Leslie Ugochukwu's goal, and you can see that coming up in a minute, which is from here now, as you can see, pushing, and instead it was pushed out of the way by Emi Martinez just before the corner was taken. And you've got to say that it was a poor piece of goalkeeping initially from Emi Martinez. It is Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1 in the 80, coming up towards 88 minutes played. It'll be a long throw here. Which will be worked into the penalty area from Walker. He launches it into the penalty area. He is flicked on, and Villa just managed to clear through Ross Barkley up towards halfway. Ball is sent long in towards the penalty area, heads up and away. It breaks here now for Gisand, who can charge away with possession. Gisand over halfway, charging down the right hand side. Ugochukwu with him. It goes inside to Ross Barkley. Here's Bedard. Back in towards Barkley again. Ross Barkley does well. He's got Luca Dean outside of him, but Barkley will go alone, will he? No. Ops for Luca Dean. Dean rolls the ball infield for Buendia. And he's still going. Luca Dean! What an effort! Pushed away by Dubravka for a corner. Wonderful effort outside of his left foot there from Luca Dean. And that really should have been 3-1. Wonderful effort, should have been 3-1 there. And Villa went down inside the box as well, but the shot got off there. It was Rodgers who went down inside the penalty area. No penalty though, because there was nothing wrong with that. As Villa make a substitution here, as Begard comes off for Amadou Onana. Begard for Amadou Onana. In the Premier League, as Villa have a corner. Onana's in there, he's pushing away Zian Fleming. Coming on Zian Fleming as well. And then Villa flick it on. And Burnley get there to stop it from behind. No, they can't, the leg go behind. And Dubravka gets there and rushes back to his goal to clear downfield. As we enter stoppage time now, end of this game, and we're waiting to hear how many minutes will be added on. And I can tell you there will be 5 additional minutes at the end of this game. 5 minutes to go in this one here. And there's a yellow card shown there to Emi Buendia. And Emi Buendia is not sure why he's been booked here. Josh Cullen's down on the floor for Burnley. We look as he's into there. And then Cullen tries to get him. Buendia comes in to the side of him with his elbow into the side of him there. And that's why he gets the yellow card there. And it's Emi Buendia. It's Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1 in the Premier League. Free kick then, which will be taken by Arman. And all the other Alfred players are up there for Burnley now. Arman sends the ball in towards the penalty area. Just about 7. Luchuk wedges it in and he deflects off a Burnley man and behind for a goal kick. And it remains Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1 here this afternoon. If you are just tuning into us, thank you very much for tuning into us here today in the Premier League, Week 7 at Villa Park. Is Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1. Can Burnley somehow find an equalising goal in this game? There's a man down for Burnley. Ruga Chuck was out of play for a throw-in, which Arman will take. Scott Parker runs to get the ball, but then the ball comes back from the crowd. Will Parker get booking it for coming out of his technical area? Dubravka sends the ball forward. Ball bounces down. Torres clears it away. Ruga Chuck who's there. Burnley have possession again. It's Ian Fleming. Can Burnley get an equaliser? Fleming's shot is blocked. There's a Villa player down holding his head. But the play will continue. But now, as Walker was running away, the referee has stopped the players. Grealish has turned the game around for Everton. It's Everton 2, Crystal Palace 1 there now. 93rd minute goal for Jack Grealish to put Everton 2-1 up. And that will mean Everton are up to 7th in the Premier League table as it stands. A point behind today's opponents, Crystal Palace. What a game. What a moment that could be for Everton. He's been a big player since he joined, since he started playing for them. Zion Fleming on the monitor there, on the screen there, as you can see, as Roy's there too. As the only players just around us is Emi Buendia, who's down, and he's not moved Emi Buendia. Confirmation of that Everton goal has just appeared on my screen as Emi Buendia is down here, and he's no move. Two physios are on towards him, was holding his head here. was Emi Buendia. You can see the team list for the later game going across the bottom of your screens there. That's the Man City team going across there. We'll have the Brentford one will have gone across there as well. Ahead of that game today in the Premier League, as we will bring you that game straight after we've finished here. There'll be a few extra minutes added on at the end of this game due to this stoppage in play for Emi Buendia, who is still down, receiving some treatment. Carl Walker having a word with the referee, Andrew Kitchen, so to his Arman, Twanzebe Fleming, Valentino Luis there too. Now Walker had a word with Fleming. Buendia is down. He's not moved from that position. I mean, Buendia, since he's gone down. As we look here again, we're just looking at this again. This is trying to see what happens here. And the players all surrounded everybody, including the referee. Emi Martinez, in the midst of that, has picked up his first yellow card of the season. Newcastle have won against Nottingham Forest. Ange Postecoglou is winless. He goes from bad to worse. Ange Postecoglou and Nottingham Forest. First 7 games as Nottingham Forest boss. Ange Postecoglou goes winless. There as we see Buendia is still down the stretcher now, and the paramedics are going to come on here. I can see the paramedics on here. It looks like they've got one of the paramedics looks like they've fetched on a defibrillator or some machines to have a look at him here. And this doesn't look good for Aston Villa. Here, we're just looking at this again. Just seeing the goals here now. This is Marlon's first goal, which put Villa 1-0 for the ball through from Morgan Rogers. And then Rogers assisting for the second as well for Donyell Marlon. And we see the Villa substitutions as Donyell Marlon is set on the bench there as Aston Villa's career first 26 appearances, 3 goals for Donyell Marlon. Today he has got 2 as Donyell Marlon, as Villa will be making another change here as Buendia will be coming off when everything calms down, and he will be replaced by Ian Maatsen here for Aston Villa. Full time at Wolves is Wolves 1, Brighton of Albion 1. The stretcher is now on for Emi Buendia, and he doesn't look good for the Villa manners. Ian Maatsen gets some instructions from the coaching staff of Aston Villa and some words from Unai Emery. And I can tell you, this does not look good at all for Emi Buendia, as the linesman over on that far side having a word with Otti Dubravka and one of the other players for Burnley that didn't quite catch who it was, and stood next to the Burnley dugout as they're taking on some water. And it's stressing scenes here to see, and Ian Maatsen just getting on some fluids before coming onto the field. Emi Buendia, I can report, is sat up here now. It looks like he will be helped onto the stretcher in just a moment. The medics is there. It sees Twanzebe now, and now Dubravka having a word with the linesman on this far side, where the dugouts are, from where we're watching here. And it remains Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1 here in the Premier League. The Brentford team is going across the bottom of your screens there now. And Ian Maatsen will be coming on here now. We're just getting confirmation now as when he's walking off, rather than having to be stretched off. He looks dazed, does Emi Buendia. May have to go to the local hospital to have a check out. He's doesn't look in a good way, but he's walking off, I can report, which is good to see that he didn't need the stretcher. The medics had to tell him for quite a while. They're into the 100th minute at the Uddingston Stadium, and it's Everton 2, Crystal Palace 1. That substitution there for Aston Villa is a concussion substitute, which will mean Burnley will be allowed to bring on Joe Worrell here to replace Maxime Esteve. Who's gone off? And despite Burnley losing, Esteve has done well. What about that? Walker sends this ball forward. The play was stopped in the 4th minute on stoppage time, and we've got back on the way in the 9th minute of stoppage time. So I think we'll be playing a bit longer here. Now as there comes Aston Villa with Rodgers to charge forward. And wonderful running from Rodgers. He's going to send inside the penalty, take his time, pulls it back. Burnley with time still to go. And they're coming forward here now. Ball is it forward, it's cleared away. Villa, will they have time to make one last hurry forward? Free kick, foul by Orman. On Kamara, who's down. We played over 100 minutes here now in the Premier League. With over 10 minutes, the additional 5 minutes on top of what was already added on due to the injury to Emi Buendia, and we wish Emi Buendia all the best here in his recovery. Free kick to Aston Villa, which will be taken by Martinez. As the ball is out of play for Burnley throwing now. And we played 101 minutes, 11 minutes. We played an extra 6 minutes on top of what was added on here. Here they come now. It's Walker. Walker will send this ball forward. Can they do it now? It's gone down here. And there's a foul there. And Josh and Burnley have given away a free kick. And we're into the 102nd minute now. It remains Villa 2, Burnley 1. Luka Dean with a free kick for Aston Villa. Referee's blown his whistle, Andrew Kitchen. Villa are taking their time over this. And now, here is Kamara. Infield it goes. Dropped back here to Konza. Now Lindelof. Down the line it goes. Wonderful play from Victor Lindelof. But there it is. The full-time whistle is done. And the game comes to an end at Villa Park. With Aston Villa coming out 2-1 winners over Burnley in the Premier League. Villa, through our player of the match, Daniel Marlon, with 2 goals on 25 and 63. We'll go Chuck with 178, pulled one back. Well, the full-time whistle has gone at Villa Park. It's finished Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1. Thank you very much for listening to one of the breaks on Sunday here on the Commenttary Hub, Storm FM and JB Sports. That's where our coverage ends on JB Sports. Stay with us if you're listening on the Commenttary Hub or Storm FM, as we'll be back with you in around about 25 past 4 this afternoon. And full time in the Premier League, Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1. For myself, Russ Vernon, and the rest of the team here, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you again soon in a few moments' time. Well, on JB Sports, thank you very much for listening to this business on the second part over on the Commenttary Hub and Storm FM. If you want to listen to on YouTube, come over there to listen to the second part, which will feature Brentford against Man City. But full time at Villa Park, Aston Villa 2, Burnley 1. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.